My guest today is not just some guy who downloaded Audacity and decided to do some math on some audio waveform peaks. Matthew Bowden is an audio forensics expert who has been running a really excellent YouTube channel and now X account. Matt, why don't you introduce yourself, let everybody know what your background is, and we'll talk about the audio forensic investigation that you've been doing into the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Well, I'm Matt, obviously. I basically went to university and did a degree in audio engineering, music production, electronic music, business, that sort of thing. And I obviously, after seeing the video with Charlie Kirk, I was like, this doesn't sound right. Mainly because I design spaces on in music software using reverb plugins and trying to make the spaces as accurate as possible. And I could hear instantly that the echoes weren't quite right, and a lot of people were using the audio to explain what they were trying to reinforce, and I could see that they were focusing on the wrong parts of the audio. So I kind of took it upon myself to take a load of notes, which kind of turned into an essay, and then I tried to explain that essay with a script. I had ChatGPT write me up because I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not really a YouTuber
Well,
as such.
Let me stop you there. You know what you're doing, but you're sort of stepping into a new field. And this is what I found super interesting about your channel, Matt, because when I started Crowdsource the Truth 9 years ago, it very quickly became apparent to me that I was being drawn towards other people who were interested in the same things that I was interested in, and they were being drawn towards me. And what was happening was their unique knowledge was crossing over, and I was learning things. Like, in other words, when I watch your channel, I mean it, I think it's excellent, but so much of it is so far above my head, because this is like literally a college level lecture, university level, my good chap. This is a high level lecture. Yeah, high level lecture, basically taking everyone through your detailed steps of not just doing this kind of crack thump analysis, which frankly I never heard of before the health ranger Mike Adams
honestly,
did
I
it.
hadn't heard of it either until people started saying it online, and then I looked into how it actually works, and it's the Doppler effect is what they're measuring, and there is a few constraints in that. You know, you can imagine if you stood in the corner of a triangle and the sound was presented in the middle of that triangle, all of the audio would bounce into that corner and be received as one. Whereas if you put the sound in the corner and you stand the other side of the triangle or in the middle, the sound is represented in the other direction. You can hear it in the echoes, and that is what I am measuring. And basically, if you think about your ears and how your brain works with sound, how do you know the sound's behind you to your right? It's the way the sound is presented. It comes in one ear and it travels away from the other ear. And you know how your brain knows how wide your head is, and it can determine by that fraction that it does that equation, the time, speed, and velocity equation, all in a matter of a split second, and your brain can triangulate where these sounds are. It's the same way radar works as well.
Right.
You know?
Sort of instinctually, right, Matt? I mean, these are things that humans. One thing that I learned from my work in stereoscopic imaging and in studying the human factors in visual perception was that a lot of these things come from our primal instincts, where predators have a certain way of detecting things and prey have different ways. So when you say your brain is doing these calculations, I see a lot of people on the internet who, I don't know, some things go in one ear and go out the other. But what you're saying is these are happening subconsciously, and you've studied these phenomenon in such a way that you can apply mathematics and
Yeah,
explain them very clearly, right?
well, I hope I'm explaining it clearly at least. I mean, again, as you said, I'm sort of stepping into a new field here when it comes to videoing and editing and trying. I mean, I've cut off some of the stuff that I probably should have included, and I mean, I'm just totally new. My channel's really dry. I'm just explaining it as it is, so,
Yeah.
and then people are free to obviously take their opinion from that, put it and use it. And if it, like I said to you in an email the other day, if it helps somebody that does know something about guns or cameras or whatever, then I'm all for learning together, because ultimately that's where we all improve.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And I think you're either too modest or too hard on yourself, because the way I view your channel is that someone who does know a lot about audio and the types of analysis that you're doing can really thoroughly check your process because you're going through it. And someone who is interested in learning about it could watch you, study these videos, and learn quite a bit. So for people who want to dive into your actual mathematics and techniques and things like that, I think your channel is an excellent resource. People can go to
I try
YouTube.
not to see. It's a tough one, because the last video, if you look at the retention rate, as soon as I hit the physics, there's a dip. So you've kind of got to try and strike a balance between putting the education in there and obviously what everybody's trying to focus on. So
Yeah.
you know.
But this TDOA, that's the time, and what does that stand for?
Time difference of arrival. So this is
Right.
what your ears are doing when a sound comes in and goes out. You get a slight delay between the left and the right. Your brain could, since birth, has been working where that positioning is, and it's essentially having a formula to be able to recreate that using multiple cameras. So we've got 5, 10, whatever recordings all around the courtyard. I can measure the difference between the left and the right, and I can triangulate a direction, and then I can do another pair, and I can triangulate another direction, and the point at which they cross should be the source of the sound.
Exactly. And so what we're going to look at today is in more of a layperson's, everyday language kind of view.
Yeah.
At not conclusions necessarily, and I appreciate that. It's the hallmark of a diligent investigator is that you don't just make a conclusion based on the first thing that you find, but you have done some really pretty sophisticated calculations, some of which involve video sources that I gave you. I think a lot of people have seen that I've been talking quite a bit about all of the evidence that causes me to believe that Charlie Kirk was shot from behind. And it's not just, something that I decided quickly and started shouting about. I didn't see one video and come to this determination. Every day that I've been talking about this, more and more evidence, photo evidence. Now we're going to look at your audio evidence. We've even got evidence from how certain people who I suspect to be bad actors are responding to what I'm putting out, the way certain people who are not bad actors are or are not responding to what I'm putting out. But we're going to look at this totality of evidence and see if all of this evidence allows us to come to a hypothesis, or a thesis rather. And again, a lot of people, Matt, they conflate this concept of proof with the notion of evidence. And it's good that you're in the United Kingdom, because just like somebody could be in court in the United States, where our laws are based on English law, there's a different standard of proof in the United States if you're in civil court or criminal court. And there's a different standard of proof if you're in the United States or the United Kingdom. So we're going to be looking at evidence, and we're going to allow our viewers to decide if this is proof and what it's proof of. So in a nutshell, what is it that you were looking at? What have you found? What should we be talking about here today?
So far, I've run one test on the TDOA, and that was to figure out the reflection field. So if we figure out the reflection field, if we want to just boil it down really quickly, the opposite to that is the source field. That's where the sound came from, and it's reflecting back. So I'm working solely on the reflections in what I'm doing at the moment. And the idea is one, to prove which way the sound was going, because to have a shooter, say, on the low C center, as the official story has it, the sound would have to travel that direction. It's plain and simple. I'm not witnessing that in the audio itself. I'm witnessing it traveling from Charlie Kirk's right over to the zone building, which is on the left. And that's as far as I've got realistically with that measurement. And obviously there's more to be done. So essentially, yeah, the bottom corner where you're at now, it seems to me the sound is traveling from the left of the screen to the right of the screen, if everybody is oriented the right way.
Yeah,
that's the way it seems to be. I mean, again, there's so many more tests to do, so it's not concrete yet. I can't say 100% the shooter was on the building over there on the left. I can't say he was over there to the library on the right. I can't say it wasn't Bruce Willis in an air vent shouting yippee-ki-yay.
But let's just orient everybody for a moment, because so this is Google Earth. We're looking at the Utah Valley University campus. This is their amphitheater, this courtyard. It really is quite a beautiful campus, I have to say. But this is where Charlie Kirk was seated right here. It's no longer purely grass. They've paved over this area. We've got this hall of flags right here, which is, some sort of library or university lounge or something. People were in there photographing outward. That video that we saw of someone running across the building was taken from inside this hall of flags. And we could see somebody running, I guess, across this rooftop here. Is this the low C
I think
center?
It's a little bit further back. I think the one that was running. Oh, yeah, that's the low C center there, yeah.
Right.
It was running across the top of that roof.
Mm-hmm. And, I've seen a lot of evidence that causes me to believe that some of these videos that we've seen might have been individuals who were planted to create distractions, because
it's possible.
A lot of people have been wondering, hey, when I see some of these videos on Facebook and TikTok, it looks like we had 5,000 20-year-old people there, every single one of them with a mobile phone, to speak Britishly for a moment.
Mobile, yeah.
Everybody with a cell phone, sticking it up, taking videos, taking pictures. But we've seen maybe, half a dozen videos. They all look pretty terrible. It looks like somebody shot this video in 2006. And we're at a point where even if you have a 10-year-old cell phone from 2015, 14, something like that, let's say you have an iPhone 6, you're still shooting HD video. It can still shoot 60 frames per second HD video, even 4K video in a 10-year-old phone. So it doesn't make a lot of sense that we're seeing all these really decimated, heavily compressed, terrible quality videos. And it causes me, I'm going to speculate here, Matt. It causes me to begin to speculate, is there something afoot to control the media coming out of there? Because we did speak to Adam Bartholomew. I don't know if people remember that, but we spoke to Adam Bartholomew about how his live stream cut out. Adam Bartholomew is a live streamer, and he's a dad who has a son who goes to the university there. Adam was on site live streaming to his Life is Driving YouTube channel, and right at the moment that Charlie Kirk was shot, literally 1 second before the shot was fired, Adam's live stream was disrupted. It was quite strange. And the only reason we have his video, and more importantly for your investigation, his audio, is that he had a triple redundant system. Very unusual for someone who's not in the military. I don't have triple redundancy on my live streams, and I'm a pretty heavy-duty user. But Adam had this triple redundancy system where he was recording to his iPad. So we've got very clean audio from his location on the second floor.
I think I'm using his audio from one of my clips. He's standing where we're looking now. He's standing on the top left ledge, was he?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, where it's all red, where it's all red
here, right on top of the
Oh, he was on the
flags.
back one. Yeah, I'm using his as well. Yeah, so I've got two, well, one from the front, one from the back, both up on that ledge height.
Right.
So one from
he
that
was
back corner, and then
right about
Bartholomew.
here.
Yeah, he was. I think he was just opposite that square pergola on the left there.
Yes. And then I was also able to provide you with a video from an individual who I spoke with on the phone and verified that he recorded the video. I shouldn't have even mentioned it was he, but whatever. He didn't want to be identified, but that person was standing on the ground sort of right around here.
Well, I would love to know specifically what phone he used to record from. That would be amazing, because then I can
think he
place
said
a
iPhone
distance.
13. I think he said
iPhone 13. Okay, that is really good to know.
I think that's what he said.
because
I'll ask him.
I can, yeah, as if you could, because I can triangulate with that. I can use the difference between the left microphone and the right microphone if I know the distance between the microphones. And the same I did on the macro scale with the reflection arc and the source arc, shall we say. I can do that on the micro scale on the actual waveform itself. Does that make sense? So I can measure the difference between the left and the right speaker, and I can say, I can convert that into an angle, I can convert that into distance, I can use that measurement to draw graphs and diagrams to show how the sound was presented, if that makes sense.
Amazing.
I hope it does.
And knowing what phone it was, what does that tell you? Specifications about the microphone?
Yeah, it tells me how far apart they were so I can make them measurements. Because if you think you have, on a phone, if it's recording in stereo, you have left and a right.
Oh.
So here's the magic, right? Let me just quickly load up.
And if you want to share your screen or anything like that.
Yeah. Let me just load it so you don't see all the rubbish and how terribly organized I am on my desktop.
You got to bin it. Well, it's great to have you, and definitely people should follow Matthew's work on X at audio_freak, F-R-E-Q.
Freak is in frequency.
Yes, there we go.
That was me trying to be clever. Okay, so this is the video that you sent me. I don't need to play the video to show you what I'm going to get at here. We can see this transient here is the gunshot. Okay, that's when the first bang comes. Now, what can you notice about the left and the right channel there?
They're very different. Look at that. The waveform is totally different.
Absolutely very different. This is a smoking gun in audio terms. The sound appears very distinctly on the left speaker. Top is left, bottom is right. Mm-hmm. This means the sound entered into that microphone, right? So like your ear, it entered into one ear and it exited and it went past you and traveled away on the next ear. And that is what we're seeing on the bottom.
Wow. Holy cow.
That's conclusive proof. Now, you're going to get a lot of people go, oh, well, the sound just echoed down the courtyard and then back up again. But if that was the case, it would hit the right speaker, the right microphone first to be reflected back. And I would see that in the audio.
Wow, man. That is so cool.
See,
I didn't understand that from your video.
Power of, I haven't got to this on my channel yet.
Oh, wow. That's why.
I saved this just for you because you gave me the video. But I can measure the distance from there to say if the transient of the shot was, say, this big, that distance to that distance, that gives me an angle. I can point with that angle, and if it intersects with another triangulated point, I can then say the shooter was by right, by the laws of physics and the way the sound presents. But the other thing I can do is I can also create that angle upwards. So I can, if you imagine the crowd of people in the middle, if a shooter was up on the top building over here and the target was over there, then the sound's going to hit these people before it gets to the target to be recorded.
Wow.
So I can triangulate that height at proposed distances by that measurement, and I could say he was on that roof because it's the only roof high enough.
Wow.
Let's hope I don't get run over by a minibus or something in the next couple of days. But Yeah, I mean that is the power of audio, and the fact is, I've got 3 stereo recordings at high quality. I can use all 3 like an array, and I can focus the sound to a very specific location.
Wow!
Just using this simple equation, and that's the velocity, distance, and speed.
See, this is what I'm talking about when I say we need the original files from the phone, because if somebody uploaded this to Twitter or X, or to YouTube, to TikTok, whatever it is, we don't know if they've merged channels, mixed channels.
I have got a difference in a couple of my recordings, funnily enough. So you are right. If you change the conversion rate or whatever it is on the video, you can stretch the audio ever so slightly. So I have actually measured that. One of the measurements in my essay, I think it was the impact to bang ratio, not the bang to crack, impact to bang. So when the gun fired, so how long it took to impact. But on one video, it was slightly longer than the other.
Right. So I think people...
the video, I think it's actually this video here. So it's actually the video you've supplied me is a lot higher quality, a lot more original, shall we say, and that is obviously gold dust as far as...
Right off the guy's phone. And I spoke to him. He confirmed that he recorded it. He sent it to me. I looked at it. Mm-hmm. This is why when I ask Samir Masi to give me the metadata from the file that he has, he gets real cagey, because he knows that if this stuff is properly investigated by people who know what they're looking at, it becomes much more difficult to lie to somebody. And if you can manipulate these files, you can make them look like virtually anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, again, the power of things like AI and stuff today is crazy.
Right.
It's crazy what it can do. And I mean, I'm like, video's your field. I can't comment on frame rates. I can't comment on shutter speed. I barely even understand what they mean, But when it comes to audio, I can say, well, hang about, you're measuring it wrong. Let's have a look at this. Let's look at it like realistically. And everybody seems to assume that they know where the gun was fired by the sound of the rifle, but that's not necessarily the case, because it takes, time to travel distance, with sound. So we can't specifically locate or know exactly when the bullet hit, because it's quantized to the FPS, as far as I understand.
FPS, the feet per second?
Sorry?
Frames per second in the video, or the feet per second of the bullet?
Yeah, so the visual of the actual impact, you could flip between the frames as much as you like, but it's probably halfway between somewhere. So we can't actually get the exact point of impact from the FPS, because it's quantized it.
So you're saying when you get a video, there's audio and there's video, and the quantizing of the frames per second is a very discrete, there's 30 of them in 1 second, but the audio has sort of an infinite number of
the audio
points.
Is a lot faster. A lot faster. So if you think most standard CDs are printed at 41,000, I think, or was it 44,100 hertz? So it's like 41,000 FPS.
Right.
So it's really quick.
But these digital files
that's just CD quality. You can go up to 128,000. You can go 96K. You can, if people have their settings on their phone that way.
The frequency rate, the samples per
sample rate.
So let me unwrap this for people who aren't digitally minded.
Sorry,
The frequency rate for video is 30 pictures per second normally, and I've been talking about a higher frequency rate of 240 pictures per second. You're talking about sound sampling, the number of thousands of times per second the computer is essentially taking a little audio snapshot.
It's probably 1,000 times quicker easily than FPS. And this is what makes audio so people are like, oh, you can't tell, and it's all compressed video, and then it's like, but the audio is recorded by a different engine. It's attached to the video, but as well as I do, if you go into any music or video program, you can separate the audio and the video from itself. So with that in mind, we kind of can use the audio pretty realistically. I mean, there is a slight delay on the recording and the computation speed, but you're talking a fraction of a millisecond, and that's applied to everything equally. So you're still getting exactly what it is. You just need to nudge it back that fraction of a millisecond if you're bothered about it, you know.
It's really amazing, Matt. Now, you're doing a great job of, I think, explaining this for people who, for many people, these are completely foreign concepts and subjects and very far outside anything they ever really think about. But so talk to us a little bit for a moment about, I'm not asking you to come to a conclusion,
I wanted to
but
show you what that stereo meant a second,
right.
if I may.
Exactly.
So if we draw a little line here and we assume that he's facing, you know, generally to the middle of the grass here, and he's standing, if we say standing on this step here or on this path here, we can look at the wall and it's pretty solid next to him, you know, which means the sound is traveling from his left and going right, which means it's reflecting off of this wall. It's not coming into the wall and being reflected. It's coming from that wall and going that way. It has to be. There's no other way to get such a defined transient on the left in comparison to the right.
So to be clear, you're showing us on Google Earth where you can surmise the individual taking that video, recording with his iPhone, was approximately standing in that location. And the reason you have such a differential in that audio waveform from the left microphone and the right is because the loud sound hits the left first and the reflection of the sound comes slightly later. And
it's traveling away, so it's not coming into the microphone. Much like if I speak that way, you can hear that my voice isn't coming into the microphone. It's exactly the same.
Amazing.
Yeah, so I can say pretty confidently that the audio was traveling. Oh, I don't know how to use this either, do I? That the audio was traveling this way. Mm-hmm. Had to be.
So that's pretty interesting because, as I said, I've been talking quite a bit. I'm just going to switch to my Google Earth map for a moment here. I've been talking quite a bit about how there is this tunnel right here next to where Charlie was. And so how would you say, again, not a conclusion, but just to speculate,
well, there's something you've got to take into consideration. If he was standing on that first step, then sure, you could argue that the sound came from the tunnel and traveled past. But there's other requirements that need to be met, which I have no idea about when it comes to video frame rates and it comes to medical stuff and all of that. I have no idea. That's not where I'm coming from. You could argue that, but then it would have to meet the requirements the other side, and that is the distance of the reflections coming back to the microphone.
Right.
And I'd have to I haven't measured myself to see if that's a possibility, so I probably fallen short to be able to answer that question definitively. But I mean, ultimately you could argue that, if you look at the baseline where I said the source and the reflection, that curve is a pretty accurate containment field for that source. It doesn't mean that necessarily the shooter fired from that source, but there is a possibility from behind the tunnel to create the offset that I measured in that reflection field. And now it gets a bit technical, but the only way you can create that offset is by firing within that field from them locations. It's a mirror arc. It's a mirror point from one to the other.
So people in the chat right now, Matt, as we look at this image on the left, this is like the first frame of the video from our videographer that supplied this from his phone. He does seem to be, he's elevated over the rest of the crowd. So it does seem like maybe he's on the first or second step. He's very close to this wall. We see the opening of the tunnel right in front of him to his left. So someone is suggesting that it's on top of the roof. Are you able, they're pretty close, the tunnel and the top of the roof.
Yeah, I mean, right now I've done one test, so I can't, if I had another one, I could overlap the results and say, okay, it's more strongly, associated that the shooter was up there rather than down there.
So if we had original audio from someone standing like
I've got
right
the
in
audio.
front of the tunnel?
I'm going to carry out. I'm going to carry on, obviously measuring and adding to the data on my channel in hopes that somebody, yourself, that's a video expert, and then maybe one of these marine snipers could look at it and go, "Oh, actually, that makes sense to fit this theory." And if we cross all of them together, maybe we'll come up with a pretty solid idea of actually what happened.
Absolutely. I mean, and that is 100% the idea of Crowdsource the Truth, is combining everybody's unique knowledge, because everybody is an expert in something. Even if it's, you know, the person who's the janitor at that college is going to have some unique knowledge that the rest of us don't have. And if they see a video, they might know something that a PhD in whatever doesn't even know. So that's pretty interesting, these early determinations that you've been able to make. Can you talk for a moment, Matt, about ways in which, because this is something else that I've suspected, and just analyzing the logic of this thing, it's something that we could logically expect. And let me take you down this road for a minute. We basically have sort of two possibilities here. Either we have an individual who snuck up onto a roof and on his own volition decided to fire what they tell us was a supersonic high-powered rifle to murder Charlie Kirk because ostensibly he was in love with a transgender person, and Charlie Kirk is against transgender, and so this is the guy's motive to carry out this lone gunman, etching anti-Trump and anti-Charlie Kirk statements onto shell casings to be found. Either that happened or something else happened. And the something else would seem likely to involve a pretty sophisticated conspiracy, because we've got very good evidence that there was a U.S. Army ISR jet flying around. We have pretty good evidence that drones were using Bluetooth, low energy, or other similar electronic exploits to thwart the ability for people to broadcast this and to prevent all this unfettered audio and video from going out. And so if that happened, if there is a sophisticated conspiracy going on, wouldn't we expect that the people who planned that conspiracy might also be aware that Mike Adams and Chris Martenson and John Cullen, they know that these guys can do crack thump audio calculations, and we should expect that they would do things to thwart those calculations. Can you anticipate if you were trying to fool someone?
I mean, again, it comes back down to, I think it's the inner child in me, the Bruce Willis in the air vent with an AK, I like the idea of a super secret spy thing, but the resources they have, why not just drop an isotope into his cup of tea with honey? It would seem so much cleaner. I mean,
but doesn't have the dramatic impact of this. People have been
you could definitely argue that
traumatized.
point. Definitely, yeah. I mean, for me, I'm just going to analyze the audio and see what it says. But I mean,
let me focus the question. Let me focus the question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Let's say I wanted to plan this, and I said, okay, I know that John Cullen and Mike Adams and Chris Martenson are going to try to analyze the audio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure, to the greatest extent that I'm able, I'm going to make sure that only the video broadcasts and audio recordings that I want are going to go out. And I'm going to use a Bluetooth low energy drone to disrupt Adam Bartholomew's recording like this and have it cut out so he doesn't catch the audio. And I verified this. This is Patrick Reveron right here, U.S. Navy veteran who was on the USS Carl Vinson, and he believes that it was an electronic exploit launched by the high accuracy detection and exploitation system from that Bombardier Global 6500 jet.
Wow. I mean, this is like all news to me. This is crazy.
Yeah.
So
if we wanted to shut that down and only give people authorized recordings, and I also had the ability to put a shooter on whichever roof I wanted, firing whatever type of rifle round I wanted to make that supersonic crack thump, how could that deceive audio detectives from your point of view?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah. So you've got to factor in the speed of sound and distance. So I obviously saw your presentation and the auto trigger. I don't know how they work, and maybe there's an instruction manual that could answer the question, but can you calibrate it so you could offset the timing of the shot?
Absolutely, yes.
So I mean, then you'd have to. It would be a simple calculation. That's the one. Yeah, yeah. It would be a simple calculation if you wanted the sound to travel 130 meters. I know we're metric over here, but if you wanted the sound to travel 130 meters, then you need to offset that by 379 milliseconds.
Exactly.
Otherwise, the sound's going to arrive way too early.
Right. And see, just like I can consult you to figure these things out after the fact, we're doing what another sadly lost British colleague of mine would call reverse engineering the crime scene. Someone engineered this crime scene.
Wow.
And I'm so sad that David Hawkins is not with us to examine this.
Okay, yeah.
But someone engineered this crime scene. And as you just said, this digital trigger, it allows you to program a digital mechanism that's going to actually fire the gun in response to your mechanical pulling of the mechanical trigger. So you can make it so that one pull of the trigger fires twice. You can make it so that one pull of the trigger fires at a delayed time. I mean, there's a circuit board in there that allows you to program this in all kinds of customized ways. Plus, the guy who made it, I mean, this is not like Apple Computer. The guy who made it is on YouTube. You could call him up and say, hey, instead of $759, I want to give you $7,000, and I want a special version of this that allows me to gang 5 of them together.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, but it seems like a lot of effort. Do you see what I mean? For me, I mean, I'm just a lazy, humble Englishman. I'm just a lazy, humble Englishman that lives and exists in the back alleys of England. So I mean, it seems like a lot of effort if I was to put my opinion on that. But then I wouldn't put it out of the possibility. I've seen too many movies, so I don't know. I can't honestly say anything other than it's possible as far as the audio is concerned.
And again, I'm not asking you to make a conclusion, Matt, because I hear what you're saying.
I'm just, as a possibility, it's definitely possible from an audio perspective, but you'd again have to meet other requirements such as the audio and how it traverses through the space. And that's what I'm basically getting down to measuring. And if we can figure out how that traverses through the space, we can then sort of say, okay, this theory can't be the case because it doesn't fit the science, the actual physics of the sound wave and the containment field and pressure, this and all of that. You get it.
Yeah. And I mean, I totally appreciate what you're saying. It's a very natural and normal reaction from a normal person, because most people would presume that nobody's going to do what I'm talking about, but of course, we're
maybe that's the point, though. This is exactly. The whole. Do you see what I mean? It's like you're like flipping a coin. Maybe that's the point. Maybe it isn't. I
mean, I'm just saying, we're talking about people who are coming up with ways to launch drones midair from a jet, something that you and I would probably agree if we were sitting around in a pub. It's just too much of a hassle. We just order another beer.
It's a lot of effort. I mean, but then how do you define a lot of effort to say like a secret super spy? Right. I don't know a secret super spy, so I can't obviously say that's what they'd do, if that makes sense.
I'm just saying that it's, I'm not asking you to tell me if you think this is what happened. I'm just saying scientifically, from
an audio perspective, yeah, it's totally possible. I would say from the, a shot coming from a drone. I mean, we know the round supersonic.
No shot from a drone. That's not what I'm suggesting. No drone fired anything. I'm just saying these people are sophisticated enough that they can launch electronic warfare drones from a jet. And that is obviously an extremely complicated operation that would require an incredible degree of coordination and sophistication. I'm just using that as an example of something that to the average person seems perhaps too complicated to even do, yet they can do it. I am very convinced that Charlie Kirk was shot by a pre-charged pneumatic rifle or pistol from behind him, from someone inside a van in that tunnel right behind him. And I say that because there is a preponderance of evidence that causes me to come to that conclusion. We see this van in the little image inset right here.
Yeah,
there is a van with the
I
door
did see
that
that
opens.
on your X. Yeah, I got to admit,
Right?
it definitely smells a bit funny, doesn't it?
Yes. We've got these projectiles, what I allege are projectiles, that are coming right towards the base of his skull. We've heard rumors that an autopsy, which has not yet been publicly presented, but we've heard rumors that an autopsy says that his C2 vertebrae was damaged or destroyed. Yeah. And we've also seen medical doctors and PhDs weigh in on the fact that we immediately observe him take on this decorticate posture, which is some sort of motor response to this type of nervous system damage that supports the notion that the C2 vertebrae was shattered or damaged or somehow impacted his spinal cord. And so that would be consistent with a low muzzle velocity but relatively high kinetic energy impact at the base of his skull, where if it hit his skull and deflected downward, there's also damage to another one of his vertebrae, which someone sent me an image today that I don't have prepared for us right now. But that image shows that it was a direct path from the C2 vertebrae to this other allegedly damaged vertebrae to right out the front of his neck. Now, people dispute whether this round gets caught in the shirt or it's his necklace having something happen in the shirt. The point is there's a lot of activity around the back of his head. We saw his hair puff out. We saw this air pressure event at his T-shirt. And it seems like this is what happened to him. You've now presented audio evidence that doesn't refute this hypothesis or my conclusion. It seems to support it, but I agree with you. We need more evidence, perhaps.
More tests, more data, definitely. I mean, I think everybody's saying that. We're screaming out for more data. I mean, like, I can obviously overlap all of these results and I could still be wrong, but it's going to give you a pretty solid idea of what the sound was doing. And if any one of them narratives fits within the sound boundary, shall we call it, the actual audio, then you can say that it's a possibility with pretty, high certainty. But to conclusively, I think John Cullen put it quite right when he said you could place it there, you just can't place it there. I think that was a really good way of analysing it. But
who was it that said that?
Whether, I think it was Cullen, wasn't it? Dr. John Cullen.
He's not a doctor.
Oh, he's not a doctor. Okay, John Cullen. Right. Okay. Well, I would know it's Chris Martinson, wasn't it? He's the doctor, was it? I can't remember. Again, I'm new to this whole YouTube thing. So yeah, I mean, from an audio perspective, I mean, you could argue it. You could argue it's a possibility, but there's so many other requirements that need to be measured. If it came from the tunnel, what I would expect to see in that recording is both the left and right to look similar to the right-hand channel, because the audio would be passing past the... So I'd expect the audio to, you had on the left speaker, you had the strong transient, the right speaker, you had a slightly more directional transient. So I would expect that on the left if it was coming from the tunnel and he was standing behind the tunnel opening, the doorway, whatever you want to call it, the end of the tunnel, so I'd expect it if he was there, but if he was 2 meters the other direction, it would support your theory. So it's very, again, without more tests, more data. It's inconclusive. I couldn't corroborate it. All I can say is from an audio perspective and the geometry that I've measured so far, there's a few possibilities, and they all originate from that south corner, behind the tunnel, and up the other way, which is obviously out the question because everybody was standing there with cameras and microphones.
So show us that waveform again, if you could, Matt, and let's just go over what you're saying, because I want to make sure that I understand it and that other people understand it. So tell us, perhaps, instead of what this does show us, what, if anything, does this eliminate as a possibility?
If we just take Google Maps as well, real quick, right? If we say that he was standing somewhere between those lines.
When you say he, you're talking about the individual who recorded the video.
I'm just saying
sent you.
he. Yeah, I mean it could be the person that recorded it, right?
Recorded the video.
So if we put them there on this back step,
looks about right.
It stands to reason that the audio would come out of this tunnel past both mics. You would hear it slightly earlier on the left or the right, but the transient wouldn't be so strong. They would both be traveling away from the mic. Does that make sense? So,
but the closer he's standing to the tunnel, the more...
So it would be more like this lower bottom one. Yeah, both of them would, but they would have a similar, well, maybe not similar. This would be a bit tighter, I would assume. It would pass quicker. Whereas this is quite substantial, that the actual waveform on the left is so strong compared to the right. It is substantial.
It's almost suggestive that the shot comes from the same side of the building that the recording was made, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, and that's key, because there's a solid wall there.
Well, now hang on. Though.
Even if it's not solid.
Let's look at this image again. Let's look at this again. Because we've got the video right here. Sorry, hang on.
Sorry?
This is a little confusing to set up. Okay, so here's the guy's video. That's what we want. Okay, we've got the video right here. And we can see there's the opening of the tunnel. It's like pointed right at him. He's a little bit on a diagonal, so the sound is sort of projecting right at his left side, isn't it?
Yeah, well, is that the same video as I'm using in this one? Let me just pull up the video.
This is the one from the guy's phone that I sent you.
Skip to the beginning. View screen. Where's that? Show screen. Where's that gone? Video. There we go. So this one's actually a lot further behind, look. So maybe it's not the one that you sent me. I think it is the one that you sent me.
It's called like 9.8 IMG 9.8.
I don't know. But yeah, he's standing. So this video here that I'm using, he's actually standing behind.
So wait a minute. Show us your video. Share your screen for a second.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I wasn't sure. Oh, that's such an amateur move. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Schoolboyed it. Yeah, so the video I'm looking at, he's actually standing behind.
Yeah, that's a different video. I don't know what video that is.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm pretty sure this is one you sent me, but I could be mistaken.
I probably have sent you a few, but no. Okay, I did send. I did send you this. I did send you this, but that is not the one that is confirmed to be from the guy's phone. So this is good. We've got more work to do for sure, no doubt.
Definitely,
no doubt. But
definitely
that's
more work to do.
That's something there. So the next video I think that would be really important to analyze, and you tell me if you agree or disagree, would be this one right here, and I'll make sure to send it to you again.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah,
because this guy's
if
got
it's in stereo as well, I mean, 2 stereo mics. They're both it doesn't matter whether the recordings are the same time. Both sets of mics are recording at exactly the same point, which gives me something to measure from.
This is stereo left, right. MPEG-1 ACC 44.1 kilohertz.
Perfect.
So, okay, so we'll definitely
44.1 kilohertz. That's what I was saying. That's the frame rate essentially for the sound.
Sampling frequency, right?
Yeah.
So, Matt, this has been an amazing first episode. I absolutely want to have you back and continue this audio forensic investigation with you, combining our skills. I really want to encourage people to follow you on X and keep up with your work there.
As a warning, I'm really bad at social media, so I will do my best. I will post what I can, and obviously any questions, please fire them over. Happy to answer them. I've been pretty active in my chats anyway, so any questions, I've had quite a few of them. Met some good people.
Yeah, and Matt's got his DMs open there on his audio_freak, FREQ, like frequency, little play on words there. You can follow him on X. You can subscribe to his excellent YouTube channel. The only reason it says I'm not subscribed is that I'm not logged in here. I am subscribed. I'm watching Matt's videos with great interest. And he's also... I'm a big fan of the ChatGPT characters, as people know, from anybody who's following me on X.
Well, it's meant to go like a little film strip. So, one, he's sitting there playing the piano, and then he starts investigating and getting his magnifying glass. And then at the end, he's shocked, like, oh my goodness. No, I'm being a bit of a dork.
I love the creativity. You're not being a dork. It's absolutely up my alley. I love that kind of stuff. So unless there's anything else that you want to discuss, I think we've covered quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean,
today.
I think that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm just a humble little sound engineer that's happy to measure the audio. If anybody wants to follow along, get involved. If there's anything I'm missing, obviously tell me. Again, I'm figuring this out as I go as well. So, I'm basically reverse engineering the techniques I use in music production and stuff to reverse them to be able to use to analyze. So it's all it is. It's nothing. There's no magic trick to it. It's
That's
just
fantastic.
it just should hopefully be backed by science. At least that way we can say, well, it definitely didn't come from the Locy Center, I don't think. But then which direction, at what angle, these are all valid questions that need answering. So I'll do my best to cover as much as I can. And I've got a whole list of probably I think there's 28 different tests altogether.
Wow.
Like phase cancellation, stereo alignment, all sorts of stuff, multilateration, beam forming. There's loads of stuff when it comes to audio forensics. Excuse me. Loads
Amazing.
of stuff. Yeah, there's a whole list of them. Like, don't be able to see it. The light's funny. Yeah.
Well, Matt, this has been amazing. People are going to follow you at audio_freak. And we've got a lot of anonymous accounts that are, challenging what I'm saying, challenging what you're saying. Of course, okay. When I've posed this challenge, and I've been offering a bounty, people can go to crowdsourcethetruth.org. This evidence bounty is up to $1,900 for people who want to actually challenge my thesis. I am defending the thesis that Charlie Kirk was shot from behind. Now, this is also not just, any idiot with an anonymous account come forward and say that his lapel pin exploded. I'm talking about entering into a business transaction with someone. So you need to be prepared to reveal your true identity, at least to me, your location, your address, your name. You're going to be paid if you can disprove my thesis with stronger evidence. So far, anybody that I have asked to read the very carefully written terms of service that are laid out here, the terms and conditions that are laid out here, people aren't, they won't step up to the plate. No legitimate person willing to...
Well, I think that's very, very brave of you. I mean, taking on the whole world like that, Jason.
Well, thank you, Matt. But it's brave.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd like that kind of heat on myself. I mean, ultimately, people can challenge the physics and have a problem with my opinion, but ultimately, the physics is the physics. It's not me. I'm just relaying what my measurements say. If anybody disagrees with them, please measure for yourself. If you've got better numbers or more precise, accurate recordings, and you've got better numbers, send them. Let's run them. I'll happily run the numbers again. You don't have to do the maths. It doesn't, it's no skin off my nose. It's just essentially putting it in one end and pulling it out the other. So, it's just numbers.
And one of the reasons that I admired you from the first moment I saw your channel is that you're very authentic in what you're presenting. You're using your real name. You're not hiding behind some fake account, making up nonsense, spewing crap. You are a guy who is open to being corrected and doing it very honestly. And so the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm saying anyone who wants to come forward as an honest broker can participate in this evidence bounty challenge. This is exactly like when J. Jonah Jameson says, I'm offering $500 for a photograph of Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't deliver the photograph. Peter Parker shows up and gets a check made out to Peter Parker. For people who like what I'm doing and want to participate by increasing the bounty, you can go to crowdsourcethetruth.org, and with cryptocurrency or your credit card, you can increase this bounty to any amount that you want. And by November 4th, if someone has disproven my thesis with facts and evidence, they will receive the bounty. One interesting thing to note is that, the other day I had this debate. Owen Schroyer was kind enough to host a debate between myself and Dr. Chris Martenson, who is a PhD.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do respect Mr. Martenson now, or Dr. Martenson, as it were.
right? And, he presented a lot of facts and evidence. Just because you're a PhD in one thing doesn't mean you know about other things. And there was this impartial poll run by a person who I don't know, Owen Lee Fans. This is a fan account run by an Owen Schroyer viewer. And out of 408 votes, 68.6% of the viewers felt that my interpretation of the evidence was more accurate than Dr. Martinson's. And I think in terms of voting, you call that a blowout.
Yeah, that's all new to me. So I mean, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, again, I'm not here to dispute your theories. I'm not here to obviously disprove. I mean, I'm just here to provide just measure the audio and provide the results. I mean, if it proves one way or the other, I'm happy for either. I'm not, not trying to get myself assassinated or either that or put in a political prison over here in the UK. So
it's true. Yeah, you got to be careful over there.
Yeah, so again, it's just the maths. It's just the audio. It's just what I'm measuring it to be. And if it proves one thing right, I'm all for it.
Totally appreciate that, Matt.
It's really great. If it just helps, then it just helps. That's good enough for me.
Really great meeting you today, Matt. Once again, people can follow you at audio_frequency. And don't forget, you can support Crowdsource the Truth by going to subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsource the truth. You can also go to crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, subscribe on there. And people can follow me on X at JG_CSTT. Subscribe there for premium content. And don't forget to go to crowdsourcethetruth.com.